So we saw Alex Smith finally get back onto a football field after an injury that many of us thought was going to be career-ending and potentially even worse than that. So the fact that he's able to not only make a full recovery, but get back onto the football field, it's pretty awesome to see. In terms of the football aspect, his numbers were not great. He ended up going 9 for 17 for just 37 passing yards, making maybe the worst yards per attempt I have ever seen in an NFL game at just 2.18 yards per attempt, which is just abysmal. So I figured let's actually make a video. Let's talk about what happened, what went right, what went wrong with Alex Smith. Not a lot went right, but why was this game so statistically awful for him? First things first, I mean, the Rams pass rush did a great job all game. I thought it was actually very funny. This first play I'll show you, this was actually the third play of the game, maybe the second play that Alex Smith played, but it was the first third down he faced, and the Rams are going to blitz here, which, listen, I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, like, as a defense, you do have to just play your game, and you can't say, well, hey, Alex Smith is, he overcame this, let's go easy on him. No, you have to play your game. That's what they're doing. Most notably, you're going to want to look at Aaron Donald. The bright thing about, the nice thing about having a 5-man rush with Aaron Donald is it's going to give him a one-on-one matchup. Donald is going to win this matchup very easily. He gets to Smith and even hops on Smith's back and eventually gets the sack. So Smith looks healthy from that play, it seems like. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how well he was seemingly moving. I mean, there were opportunities that when he seemingly was looking to run around, and he was moving well in the pocket. So obviously that's nice to see after his brutal injury. In terms of throwing the ball, I mean, there were a couple of missed throws. Like on this one, what's going to happen is that it's a pretty simple concept. The Rams are playing zone coverage, and so what Washington is going to do is they're going to have two receivers on the top of the screen kind of run over the middle. Then they simply have their halfback sort of run out like that. And the idea is that LA is going to be paying more attention to the receivers, so the halfback could potentially get open. It's a pretty basic scheme, and this type of play should get you at least a few yards no matter what, and you're getting the ball into a halfback's arms, and the halfback is then in open space, so there's a lot of good that can come with this type of play. But what you're going to see is that Smith, he makes this throw and he misses it, and this is a low degree of difficulty throw, not one you want to see somebody miss. Again, you do have to wonder if being basically unable to use one of your legs for a year can sort of disrupt your timing to some degree. It's hard to imagine it doesn't. I also want to be clear, though. I mentioned this on my podcast, but I think that the Rams did such a good job on defense that no one is even giving them credit anymore because of how good of a job they did on defense. Because, if they had held the Washington football team to a pretty low score, but it wasn't as dominant as it actually was, then I think a lot of people are going to sit here and say, like, okay, it wasn't, it was just a good day by the Rams. But the fact that it was such a bad statistical performance from Smith, now no one's giving the Rams credit, but the Rams played great defense. This one's a great example. It's a cover 3 zone concept, and worth mentioning, this is the 4th down and 2. So this is a very, important play. What the Rams are doing is they have cover 3 zone, which means that there are some gaps in coverage, and if one of the Washington players can find a gap, which as you see, the one route I have shown is going to get into a gap, then Smith could try and find it, make that throw, and get the completion and the first down. And as you see, once this ball is snapped, it's working well, except I've circled 3 guys, and you might be wondering who's the third guy. The first 2 make sense, right? I mean, you're just getting into a gap. Both of those 2 guys are supposed to cover the middle of the field. The other player, the one who is furthest to the right, he's a defensive back who's in charge of covering deep, but he's knowing that, listen, this is 4th down and 2. Don't be afraid to run in to try and make a play. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make sure he can run in and knock the ball away if it does go to in that gap. He is going to finish this off. He makes a really good play, and that's just good defense. I mean, for Alex Smith, there's not too much you can do about that, and there were a ton of plays where really just nothing was able to get going. In fact, that was the majority of them, was there was just nobody open. There was actually a very few amount of plays where something was working out somewhat well. This was actually one of the better offensive plays ran by the Washington football team offense, even if you take out Alex Smith. It did look like they tried to change the play calling a little bit too, to a very conservative play style with trying to not have Smith throw the ball too far down the field and things of that nature, which on one hand does kind of make sense, but I don't think it really worked out too well, and maybe they would have been better off giving him a few more deep shots. I want to show one more play because this was almost an awesome play. So this one's going to be zone coverage. It's a cover 3 zone, and Washington has a receiver running deep on the top of the screen. Now, as I just mentioned, Washington is not throwing the ball deep whatsoever. So the fact that there finally is a deep shot, this can potentially work out. And once this ball is snapped, you notice that there is going to be a pretty good opportunity here for this ball to be complete. Now, the Rams player who's covering him is currently further deep than the Washington player Smith wants to throw to, but the safety has really cut in because he's expecting something shallower, which is a good situation for Washington. And on top of this, you know, it is a benefit for a wide receiver running deep in this situation. Even if you are one step behind currently, you have plenty of time to make that up. I just can't help but think how awesome this would have been had this been complete. Smith makes a deep shot, and there is a bit of separation. It's just a bit too far, can't quite be complete. That was really close right there, and how awesome would it have been if that was complete? So yeah, I mean, that's really what I thought a lot of the game was he did make a deep shot or two, but for the most part, it was a lot of underneath stuff. I think 0-2 might actually be overselling it. I'm pretty sure it was just the one deep shot. And listen, you know, the numbers are, I mean, let's just call it what it is. The numbers are abysmal. But if I watched the tape, there wasn't really a lot that I blamed him for. He had a missed throw here and there, but for the most part, there wasn't a lot. And, you know, the weather clearly affected things for Washington. It was really just pouring down rain towards the end of it. So I do think that factored in as well. Am I making excuses for Alex Smith? I don't think so. I think I'm just giving reasons for why things went so poorly. I mean, listen, if he was the kind of guy where he's only going to throw 2 yards per attempt, he wouldn't have ever even gotten an opportunity to be back on the field. Like, he is good enough, I think, and he did do some good work inside the pocket, which I do find a little bit promising. But again, I mean, like, you know, the numbers are the numbers. It was not very good. And so I do think it's a question of who do you have start next week. I thought Kyle Allen looked good. I've always sort of felt like Kyle Allen's a bit underrated. I think he does have talent. He's at least a backup quarterback in my opinion. And meanwhile, for Smith, it's hard to really judge him too much. It kind of felt like he was playing for the Jets last week. That's really my best comparison. Is it felt like he was in a situation where it's hard to really evaluate the quarterback because there was so much else that wasn't working on offense. So it's hard to really blame him too much. I think my biggest takeaway from this game is just how good this Rams defense played against Washington's offense. They did a great job. And we'll see. We'll see if they can do better in the future. We'll see if Alex Smith gets another opportunity, and if he does, what will he do with it? So yeah, that's what I think of Alex Smith's performance. What a great story, though, that he was able to get back on the field. Very fun. That's what I thought of his performance, though. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.